Order. Arms. Stack. Arms. Take. Arms.
The volunteers in the training camps of Virginia were instructed by the Manual of Instruction for the Volunteers and Militia of the United States by Major William Gilham, Instructor of Tactics and Commandant of Cadets at the Virginia Military Institute.
Support. Arms. Carry. Arms. Trail. Arms. Shoulder. Arms. Secure. Arms. Carry. Arms. Carry. Arms. Carry. Arms. To right shoulder, shift. Arms. Right shoulder, shift. Arms. Shoulder. Arms. Shoulder. Arms. Charge. Bayonet. Charge. Bayonet. Shoulder. Arms. Order. Arms. Shoulder. Arms. Unfix. Bayonet. Shoulder. Arms. Unfix. Bayonet. Shoulder. Arms. Support. Arms. Carry. Arms.
For many of Lee's regiments the last month of the war, the companies were down to 15 to 20 men each. Some were young, some were old, but most of the men that remained in the ranks and did not desert were the diehards and would march with Lee all the way to Appomattox. When the Army of Northern Virginia starts their retreat towards Appomattox, the first week in April 1865, many of the men in the ranks, they were issued scant rations of pork and cornmeal. They had no idea they were being hunted to the death. Depending upon the unit and the leadership involved, some units' morale was higher than others. Some of the best units in the Army of Northern Virginia were the sharpshooter battalions, hand-picked men in every brigade in the Army, and led by very skilled officers who had a proven record of marksmanship. By New Year's 1865, the soldier in Lee's army was receiving adequate rations. On December 25, 1864, General William Tecumseh Sherman had reached Savannah, Georgia, and cut Georgia off from its supplies that it provided the Army of Northern Virginia. The rations that Lee's army received from Georgia would be cut off by Sherman's march to the sea. The typical ration consisted of flour, cornmeal, or salted pork or beef.
All right. Shoulder. Arms. Company to the rear. Open order.
By 1864, the entirety of the Army of Northern Virginia were using Hardee's light infantry tactics.
Your left foot. Go ahead and do it. And you wait for the command in front.
These tactics were for a faster paced, more lightning speed of movement on the battlefield.
Company. Front. That's when the sergeant, where you normally grab for present arms, grab it, comes up, you hold it between the sight and the first band, relaxing the trigger guard on the bend of your
At the time of the retreat to Appomattox, April of 1865, the Army of Northern Virginia was still a vaunted and feared fighting force. The infantry of Lee's army was still second to none by April of 1865. Down to its smallest components of the infantry company, These men could respond, fight, march, without much sleep or rations, and would take on any federal unit thrown against it.
The officers sometimes would say spring your own rammers, so you just tap your... Well, yeah, there's a lot of that with border arms. If you're basically starting out at border, you go to company close, order, march. Looks as unprofessional to these guys probably is, you know, well, I can't handle the weight of my musket, so I'm going to do shoulder shift, arms. Okay. Shoulder, arms. Simple. You got in the wrong spot. The profile basically is suspended from your forearm is the musket, perfectly balanced. This was designed for essentially marching. Arms. All right. Shoulder, arms. Three out of the four guys are like this. The other guy in the back, where the corporal can't see him, is doing this. Left hand, thumb upward. There it is. Okay, so you see from shoulder, all you're doing is you're adjusting the muscle. So it's present arms, back. Very simple. Okay? So left hand, right shoulder straight. I got a couple other things, but let's go to open ranks. Company, ground, arms. These up, really good. Very military. Nicely done, boys.
And the way it was explained to me that I always remembered is, at least for the other purposes, I don't know if it applies to Hardy Surprise, but from
company, charge, bayonet. Okay, charge bayonet. Make sure keep your body back. Your basic position. Shoulder, arms. Okay, so company, charge, bayonet. Good. If you turn your hand out, it comes off of you, away from you. Full thing. Sergeant, you'll give the cadence. So your dress will be...
The Army of Northern Virginia was not stopped by the Federal soldiers themselves. They were simply stopped by their empty bellies. On the eve of the retreat to Appomattox, those soldiers that were fortunate enough to receive rations usually received a very small portion of bacon and cornmeal, the equivalent of 4 strips of bacon and 2 corn muffins.
Jimmy, move down a little
This ration was to last them 3 days.
Advance! Right! Load in 10 times. Load. Handle. Cartridge. Tear. Cartridge. Charge. Cartridge. Draw. Rammer. Turn. Rammer. Cast. About. Prime. Shoulder. Arms. Firing by company. Ready. Ready. Aim. Ready. Aim.